This may not be the best dating advice ever, but it will make you think. Being single forever, most would say that's not the best dating advice you could give someone. To be single forever. But there is a point to this. But before I begin, hope you're doing well, having a nice weekend, and I hope you, both men and women, will enjoy this one. Being single forever isn't good dating advice. However, in a world like this, in modern times, many have found that being single is the best decision they've ever made. Not that it's impossible to be with someone else, but in a way how certain things are, how certain people can be, it would make one feel that being single is the best decision for them. However, again, as human beings, we still have certain needs. Even in having a desire to be by yourself, most of the time, for many human beings, there's still a need for the contact of others, other human beings, and not just family and friends, no, the obvious intimacy of another human being. And it's not just sexual. To some degrees, it always leads to that, and that's the point anyway. But sometimes just the company, the conversation, the sharing of ideas, thoughts, feelings, and time. So in modern times, 2020, many people have learned to still enjoy the, let's say, certain experiences of connecting to another human being without the weight, the risk, the burden of a relationship, a marriage, or any long-term commitments. So in other words, the hookup culture, how it's a sense of, look at the flow of the world, the way people and society are going. See the flow yourself, online dating, how that's become so normalized. Where I remember a time where that was shunned and laughed at. And because of the liberation and the options opened up to certain people and choices, many people nowadays just hook up, or more a sense of two people just hanging around and doing each other. A little conversations, banter, blah blah blah, then a bit of rough, then on with your day. My point is how common this sort of dating hookup lifestyle has become. And how many have found, especially men, how they have found out that the traditional sense for most of them doesn't really work. Because what some men see is that in them being traditional, they see how in a sense they're losing out and missing out. Because a lot of people aren't really bothered about that anymore, men and women. A lot of people do want to be single, both men and women, for obvious various different reasons. Some reasons similar. Because like how some women, many women, have been through certain relationships and those relationships have messed them up and maybe left them in a bad place. Obviously many women would be like, you know what, I can't be bothered. They may still have their fun, but the commitment thing, they may have been through too much to the point where they can't go back. The same with men. To have been through so much you can't go back. And yes, both are shamed, men and women, for choosing to be single. But the shame's always harder on the men because, as men, we're supposed to be the thirsty ones, aren't we? We have to be. The chase always has to be high, and those being chased get the benefit. Being single forever isn't a choice that many made in terms of, yes, this is what I want. I want to be single forever. No, it's a conclusion for many people. Not a decision they made at first. No, for many, it's a conclusion. For many, they started out the normal way. The way everyone would call normal. Meet someone, hook up, and all that jazz. But many people who have been through that and done it have been burnt to the point where they say, you know what, I can't be bothered. And there is the saying, the common saying that both men and women use against each other and on each other. The saying of, who hurt you? Who hurt you? Because in order for you to come to that conclusion, someone would have had to hurt you. So in other words, there must have been a point where you cared about someone so much, yet that care was either not reciprocated, it was neglected or rejected, it was used and abused, or it was somehow used against you in some way. And this one person, maybe a number of people over time, but sometimes it's that one person you cared about so much that you had given them the power to break you. And they did. They had. They have. So in the saying of who hurt you, imagine this for a second. an apocalyptic desert, Mad Max style. Two armies, one army of men, another army of women. And in some way, this is the metaphorical current state of man versus woman sort of thing. So now these two armies, 1 billion on either side, men and women, both sneering at each other, taunting each other, throwing insults, curses, all manner of foul things said to each other. Then in some sort of weird, gigantic unison, they say to each other, "Who hurt you?" And it's a chorus of voices, the deep baritones of the men and the whiny high-pitched noises of the women. Seriously. Who hurt you? And in them saying who hurt you to each other, these two armies, they then pull out mirrors, all sorts of mirrors, pocket mirrors to full-blown body-length mirrors, bathroom mirrors, wide mirrors, round mirrors, whatever. And as they're saying to each other, "Who hurt you?" they are looking back at their own reflections, sneering, taunting, insulting each other. In some way, a reflection of each other. In other words, what I'm saying is, with the conclusions of the world and people, experiences, the vast information we have nowadays because of the internet, the many choices people have nowadays, where they can choose to be with whom they want to be with, for a large part, but maybe not for the most part. So to say the dating scene has become skewed, that is an understatement. So changing the way you date to adapt to modern times makes sense. We can all run around with fairy tales and fantasies, dreams, notions, delusions, feelings of finding someone and everything will be better. Things will be better. Life will be better. But that's not the case. In a changing world, something as simple as who has control of the remote would make many think and realize that being by myself makes more sense. Yes, I can indulge in others, have fun, bust and move, as both men and women are doing nowadays anyway. And having these weird just together relationships where they're not together, they're just sleeping together, hanging around each other, sharing time, basically. So in this sort of setting, would it not be better to adapt? For some, in adapting, they have found their best life ever, because no longer are they attached to the same traditional norms that don't really work nowadays for everyone. For some maybe, for everyone no. So whether by choice or not, many have realized and learnt that they will be single forever. But it's not as daunting as some make out. It's not the end of the world scenario some make it to be. There are many things in this world some want to experience, true love being one of them. No matter what some say or protest at and claim they don't like or want, for many, finding this thing called true love has been a goal of their life. In knowing it may not exist, for some, that's crushing. So this may not be the best dating advice ever, because the best dating advice ever, it would have to be happy, wouldn't it? It would have to have a happy ending. Because you see, forever afters are usually held with someone, how they lived forever after. So for many, if the ever after is to be single, then that's a nightmare. That's a bad ending, isn't it? Well, sometimes you have to live a fake dream to realize 'twas a nightmare all along. In other words, focus, observe, remember. The world is yours. Have a nice day.